Parents, would you throw your child in the deep end at their swimming lesson just because their mates are there? Now, I'm hoping that a majority of you said no to that question. So why does this happen so much at kids' football? We see it all the time, parents wanting their kid to be pushed up into a higher ability group, into an A team, into an elite team, and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to talk today about how pushing children up too soon can actually hurt their football development, and us as parents accepting where our children are at right now and why that can be helpful for them longer term. And I get this. It comes from a good place a lot of the time. I think parents only want to do the right thing, but they're comparing their child to others, and that's the problem. They're seeing what others are doing, they're seeing what other parents are saying about their children, and it starts to be a thing of becoming very difficult. It's difficult not to compare your child to somebody else's who's maybe further along in their journey or their development. You're seeing these other kids in the higher groups or the A teams, or you're fearing that if your child's not in that, then they're going to be left behind. And if not, it's like, are they standing still? Are they failing? All this comes from care a lot of the time. It's not a case of ego. It's a case of a parent being worried that their child's going to miss out or is not going to develop as much if they're not in these higher ability groups and in these A teams and elite squads and all the other labels that we like to give kids these days, unfortunately. So we're going to talk today about that. Talk today about some of the stuff that we've seen, what you can do, some tips, and hopefully just some help, essentially. But why parents push for this a lot of the time is this belief that the harder is better. A more of a challenge should mean better development. They're going to improve as a result of this harder training, this harder group, whatever it might be, a better group. They think that playing with better kids guarantees this improvement, it guarantees development, and the labels of things like elite, of things like A team, it sort of gives this reassurance that it must be good. This must be right for every kid. If they're in this, then it must be fantastic. And they're wanting to sort of protect the future opportunities, and they think that if they don't get the kids into these things sooner, then that's going to hamper them in the longer term. And today's just about us talking about this and explaining it. It's just not true, but I can completely understand why parents think like this. I'm a dad. I've got my girls come to our football, but then they also do gymnastics, they do dance. Those two things are very competitive, and these things happen there as well. You've got your advanced groups, your intermediate groups, and one thing or another, and I see it in other sports as well. I was talking to one of the gymnastics teachers the other week, and she said that it's rife in their world as well, that people think that you must be in this A squad and this elite squad or whatever it is in order to see any sort of improvement, but it's just not true. And the reason for that is that development isn't linear. We're going to talk specifically today about football, but this applies to most other sports as well. It's not linear. Kids develop at different rates, physically, emotionally, cognitively. It doesn't all sync together. And you look at a child, for example. We spoke about the relative age effect before. A child that's maybe born in September compared to a child that's born the following August. You think about that gap there. These younger kids in that year group will catch up at some point, physically and everything else. But even that aside, that's not the only thing that's happening here. There's all sorts of other things that make up a child and their child's development that all come into play. And some kids improve quickly, regardless of age or year they were born, or the time of year they were born, and what have you. Others, it takes a little bit longer. But the big thing, certainly with the early years, is early ability does not equal long-term success. We've done this for long enough now, and we've seen this time and again. Some of the kids that were, however you want to class it, not as good as the others, not as good as the top dogs in their groups and their teams as younger kids, all of a sudden, when they're a bit older, approaching late primary school into high school, they've shot up. Not in terms of physically all the time. They've shot up in terms of ability level with their football, and they've caught up to these kids and often exceeded them. So early ability does not guarantee that long-term success. As I say, there's so many examples of this, and it's just for parents to understand that progress, even for the high ability kids in the younger ages, it will not go in a straight line. It will be up, it will be down. They'll have their moments where they're on top of the world, then confidence will hit rock bottom for whatever reason. They do not come with instruction manuals, these kids, as we've said time and again, as much as we wish they did. They don't. And progress, development, it is not linear. I'm going to hammer that point today, because I think some people think that once a kid's in an A team, that's it, wash, off they go. If they're in their elite squad, oh, here we are. It's not like that. Even those kids will experience ups and downs. So please understand that. What we see is, and what we have seen, is you'll get kids where the challenges come too soon, and the parents are forgiven again for thinking that it's going to be the best thing, but we need to go back to what the child wants, okay? If they are put into a group where it's too difficult too soon, there's a constant struggle, you're going to see their confidence dropping, you're going to see that they're going to start fearing making mistakes. It ends up being that they're almost surviving these lessons and these training sessions as opposed to learning from them. It's just that, I guess, to think about it, is challenge is good, but overwhelm is not. I like a phrase that I heard a while ago: confidence comes with competence. But then what we do see is that a competent kid can lose confidence if they're pushed too soon, and then the progress will dip. The progress will dip. It'll stall, and that's what happens when the challenge, when we expose them to too much of a challenge too soon. It's about trying to give them the right challenge at the right time. And certainly us as football coaches at Foot Tech, we're only concerned with the individual child. So we will assess them in our own ways and watch what's going on at the sessions. And if we're seeing that a child is ready for that next step, then we might suggest a different group, but it's going to be led by the child all the time. But if they need that extra challenge, we'll explain that to the parent, explain that to the child, and then we'll gradually introduce them to that next group, and then off they go, rather than what we have had in the past, where parents have almost demanded to be moved to a different group, and it's just not right for them. It's just not right for them. That difficulty has just come too soon, and what was a confident child, competent at football, goes the other way. They look less competent, and therefore they lose their confidence that they've probably worked really hard to get, and certainly we've worked really hard to give them. I had this little experience with one of my girls. She's at a dance class and she absolutely loves it, doing really well, and her teacher was sort of discussing the next steps, but she was brilliant. She was saying, they're still young. We don't need to worry. We don't need to push them into these things too soon. And she actually let my little girl stay behind and watch the next class. And these kids were just on another level, unbelievable. And she came back that night, my little girl, and told me about it. She was like, "Daddy, they were so good." And she was gushing about it. It wasn't like a nervous thing. She was just saying they were absolutely brilliant. My wife was saying the same thing. But we had the option of potentially putting her into that group if we wanted, but we could tell straight away that she's probably in her own mind not ready yet for it. And my wife said the same thing. It'd just be too much for her too soon. They're all older, much further ahead in their journeys. And so we're going to let her keep building her confidence and competency in the group that she's in, and then hopefully in the future, then she might feel like she's ready for that next step. So I think if we'd have made her go to that, which I had to remind myself of what I've learned over the years and what I tried to research and everything, that I could have gone to that, and I found myself doing it. Oh, no, I should just try and get her there and she'll like it, she'll be all right. But then I had to just pull myself back, like, no, she won't. Just leave her to it. She's fine. There's no rush. She's 7, so it's absolutely fine. Going back to football, why playing with better players doesn't always help. There's this misconception, this I don't know if you'd call it a myth, that playing with better players makes you a better player, okay? And it's such a simplistic way of saying that. Sorry, it's such a simplistic way of thinking. There's so much more nuance to it, so much more to that sentence. It's when you move up a group, when you start playing with better players, you have less time, you have less space and less time. Okay, you press quicker and all that sort of stuff. That's one of many things. But fundamentally, you have less space and time to make a decision and execute that decision. So your success rate it might be lower initially until you get used to that group. If you are a child, if child is ready for that group, but if you throw a child into it that's just nowhere near, then not only are they going to have less time and space, they're going to make fewer decisions, because they're probably going to be looking around thinking, this is crazy. They're going to have a much, much lower success rate, which is then going to impact their confidence. And the games, it's moving too fast for them to actually learn anything. And children will learn when they feel stretched as opposed to overwhelmed. Like I said before, they want to feel stretched but capable. And that's, I think sometimes we forget that we almost have this thing with kids where we feel like they're a separate entity to us as adults, where we wouldn't want that. Us going to a gym class or whatever it is we do. I've got an example for myself. We want to feel like we belong there and we're good enough to be there, but it's stretching us a little bit, but we're still capable. Whereas why does it become a different thing for children? If anything, we should be taking more care in these circumstances with kids. I had this as a young adult. I think I was 20 at the time, and I was playing semi-professional football, and I joined a team in a league above, and my former manager had gone there and suggested I come. I started in the reserves, and I were all right there. That was fine. I felt capable. I felt like it was decent. The training standard was good, and the teams we're playing against were decent. So we're getting a good challenge, but I didn't feel out of my depth. And then I got asked to go into the first team and start training with them, and I was buzzing, obviously. And I got paid £12.50 after tax, by the way, for one of my matches for there. That's my claim to fame. I've been paid to play football, £12.50 after tax. But I went to train with the first team, and I played a handful of games. And I remember the first time I came off the bench and immediately realised I am completely out of my depth here. Training with the first team, I were playing against lads that were on loan from professional clubs. Barnsley, I think one of them was at. And it was just so fast, so slick. I got the ball, and I had barely any time to do anything with it, to make any sort of decision. We've spoke before about unconscious habits and reacting to things as opposed to being able to consciously think of a decision and act on that. My unconscious thoughts couldn't keep up. It were just like the reactions to what I say receiving a pass. What my body and mind wanted to do, it just wasn't quick enough. It wasn't right. A lot of the time, I was just closed down too much, and I just knew then that I was out of my depth. And that as a young adult, was a tough thing to take and a tough thing to get my head around. So imagine that as a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old whose brains aren't fully developed yet. What are we doing to those little kids that just want to play some football and get a little bit better and enjoy it? Why should we think about them any different to an adult like myself in that situation? And yeah, I ended up dropping out and going to a lower level because it just wasn't for me. I just knew it was. I wouldn't. It'd take me a long time to get to their level, and I just wasn't good enough. But it was the best decision I ever made, because then I started enjoying my football again. I was improving at at my level, and I ended up playing until I couldn't play anymore because of any injury. So this is what we go back to. We need to remember what we're trying to do here, where we have this thing of we must push every kid to try and be a professional footballer sometimes, and it's like, well, why? We know that 0.1% are ever going to see a professional game of football. So what is the goal in the end? Should be to keep these kids playing football for as long as possible, so they get the mental and physical well-being benefits from it longer term. That's what we should be aiming for. And we aren't going to help that by pushing them into things too soon, where it becomes too much of a challenge and they're just like, I aren't good enough, and now I don't want to do it anymore. But yeah, that's my experience. I think the thing that the terms that we sometimes use is sort of overload and underload. If you overload them too soon, too much too soon, that's not a good thing. But that overload could happen gradually in longer term. They might not be in that A team yet, but a season playing with players at their sort of level that are stretching them, those kids will be getting better at the same time within that group. So they keep stretching each other that little bit more. Maybe you add another training session once a week somewhere else where it's good quality, they get what they need, and it's just pushing them again little bit by little bit. In the meantime, they're developing physically, emotionally, socially, and all that sort of stuff. It all starts to add up, but putting them into it too much too soon can be too much of an overload. And we've seen recently, we've had 3 players come back to us who all at clubs. So one of them was trialling, I think, at a League One club. One of them is in a Premier League pre-academy at the moment, and the other one signed under 9s to an academy. Their dads have all been speaking to us about coming back for sessions with us, because it's a nice thing for them to do. They're top dogs in their groups, no doubt about it, but we maybe put them into a higher age group so they get a physical challenge or whatever it might be. But they're still very, very good in that group, still very confident, very capable. And because they're getting these high-level sessions where it's intense, all the kids are at that sort of level, academy level or what have you, they're getting these tests and these challenges every single time they're there. But they come back to a session that they get as a bit of an underload. They get to try a few things. They get more time and space, so they can work on some things, whatever that might be. But they like the environment, so it just gives them that little bit of a release. So it can work in reverse as well. We'll probably talk about that at another time. If any of you listen to the podcast with Leroy that we did, Leroy McIntosh, his son is one that I'm talking about there, where he used our after-school club where his son was at, not only as his introduction to football, but then he kept him there for a while because he just loved it, and he was top dog. He got to play with his mates, and it wasn't stretched as much there as he is elsewhere, because this is the other thing. You get these kids that go into these high pressure environments and stuff where they're still kids. So having that session where they can just be, it's just a shoulders down shoulders down, relaxed, play, it can be massive for them. So as I say, it does work it does work the other way as well. And I had, just before we move on, I bumped into a friend of mine a few weeks ago. We had a quick coffee, and she was telling me that her son was playing on a Saturday in a JPL team and wasn't really enjoying it. Training, she felt, wasn't that great, and he loves his grassroots club on a Sunday, and I think he's also voiced that, where he's not, she said, you watch him at this other training, he's not that bothered, the kids are really good, he's not really getting involved in it, doesn't really see himself, but his dad, from the right place, is leading that and trying to promote him staying there, because his friends have got kids in these places, and he thinks that his boy's going to be left behind. And longer term, that kid's just going to turn around at some point and say, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, I just want to play with my mates, or now I don't even want to play at all. And there's countless examples that we have of these things where this happens. And as I say, it does often come from a good place, but we as parents need to sometimes take a step back and just think about what's going on here. What are we trying to achieve with this? Because if it's keeping up with the Joneses, if it's keeping up with your pals that have got kids that are in these places and what have you, and they're sticking it on social media and giving you your match reports and all that, well, so what? What is right for your child? And remember that they will develop. They're not going to be left behind if they just keep playing football and enjoying football. But yeah, as I say, to what end? To what end? What is the ultimate goal? So what a coach should be thinking, because we wanted to talk about this as well from a coach point of view, where parents will seek advice but then sometimes not act on that advice. So if you've got a coach who is coming to you, who is a competent coach, by the way, I need to say that, because I know that there'll be some coaches out there that you speak to, some grassroots managers that are picking A teams and B teams for the wrong reasons. It's more about their mates as opposed to which kid should be in which. So I get that. I'm putting that aside. I'm talking about here where you've got a competent coach who's doing right by the kids. They should be explaining to you this sort of thing, and explaining about the confidence, the enjoyment, the learning speed, the opportunities of success, and keeping kids in the game longer. That's what we should be focusing on, keeping these kids in the game as long as possible so they do reach their full potential at some point. Because it's all right having the best player who's 7 years old, and then you overload him or her and put them into these things too much too soon. They're not going to be as good as the kid. They're then going to quit in year 2, and they're not going to be as good as the kid that's wasn't nowhere near them at 7 years old, but has stayed in football and is now 10, 12, 14 years old still playing. So look at it like that. I think the thing that the coach should be focused on is don't worry too much about the ability and worry more about the environment. Is it an environment that is stretching your child, but they're still capable? Is it an environment that's where they want to be, they enjoy it, and it's and that, for us, we have a certain way of doing things, and other places have a different way of doing things. It might be more intense and pressurised, whatever. Maybe your child reacts to that better, but think about the environment for your child, not a generalisation, and not because so-and-so's there, or this really good kid goes to this place, so that must be brilliant. It's what is right for your child, and are they enjoying their football? Are they being stretched, but within their boundaries? I think following on from that, parents should focus less on that sort of stuff and less on like, I need to get them into this and A team and elite and blah, 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 blah. But shift your attention to, are they engaged? Are they enjoying it? Are they trying? Going back to that example there of my friend, the kid wasn't even trying because they just fell out of the depth. Are they willing to try? Are they building their confidence? Because again, confidence. Start building their confidence. They're maybe going to try that extra thing that they want to work at. They might get outside of the ball a little bit more. They might ask to go to an extra training session because they're feeling good. They want to do more. Smiles, easy one. Are they smiling after these sessions? Do they enjoy it? It's these things where the right environment will beat the right label every single time. So just because your kid is labelled elite, it means nothing if your kid isn't enjoying it and doesn't feel like they're improving and doesn't have any confidence from being there. It's what are you going to say? Oh yeah, it's an elite thing. So he's not enjoying it, and therefore he's not getting better. His confidence is eroding. So it won't be in that thing very long. As I say, this is the thing that we really wanted to go through. Every child's timeline is different. As I said before, the best 7-year-old might not become the best 10-year-old, and oftentimes that is the case. So you'll have your outliers, obviously, the kids that were just born to play. We're still trying to work that out, and me and Nick will spend a bit till the day we die trying to work out what it is that these kids are born with and how it works and whatever else, we don't know. But generally, It's about every child's timeline being very, very different. Comparison with other kids tells a lot of lies. Just because you've got one 7-year-old who's better than another 7-year-old, it doesn't mean anything. Do not compare your child to anybody else, okay? Enjoyment is the thing that will keep kids in football, and enjoyment and fun are not an enemy of development. I think this is a thing that we try to promote a lot, and that we see sneaking into things. Enjoyment and fun are not, they're part of it, a huge part of it. It underpins everything. It's not an enemy of development. It actually goes hand in hand with development and improving. Staying in the game long enough is the real win, because if they stay in the game long enough, they will reach their potential, we hope, and that might be that they go on to bigger and better things and to be playing for England, fantastic. But it might be that you as a parent are watching your child in a league game when they're 27 years old, and you get to go in the clubhouse afterwards and have a couple of hours with all the team, having a drink after the game, bite to eat after the game, and all that good stuff, and having a lot of laughs. Like, trust me, those memories will last a lifetime. You will not be unhappy that you went through that experience with them. I had it with the last team I played for, where we had all the parents there after the game. We all got together, a few hours, just loads of laughs. Those memories will stay with me forever, and that's because I was allowed to enjoy my football and get better on my own terms rather than being pushed too soon. So yeah, staying in the game is the real win, and accepting where your child is right now. It isn't giving up. It's not. I get it. You might feel lost. You might feel like, I just want him or her to get better. I want them to reach their potential, but it's not a process that can be rushed. So just relax, facilitate what you can facilitate. If they want to do more football, let them do more football. Find the right environment for them. If they're in an environment where they enjoy it, and that environment, that place, whatever it might be, offers more training, then maybe do a bit more training with them. Can you get out to the park with them for half an hour a week or whatever? Whatever it might be, control what you can control. All right, if they want to do it, facilitate it, but don't push them into things that you think are better for them when it might not be the best thing. That too much of a challenge too soon. But yeah, accepting where your child is right now is often the best way to help them move forward, essentially. And that's it from me. I'm just checking my notes there if there was anything else for my rambles. But it is an important subject, and we like to talk on this podcast. We like to go into detail on some of the technical stuff that we learn, that we feel will help parents understand grassroots youth football coaching more, and grassroots coaches help them as well. But then these things, I don't know if you'd call it the softer skills side of things, I'm not too sure, but these are more important in many ways, because it doesn't matter how much you know as a football coach from a technical point of view, and the standard of sessions that you can put on, and all the best activities and drills and blah 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 blah. It's about the child. It's about the child's brain, their confidence, and what we're doing for them. And once you nail that, that's when we can start looking at, okay, the type of training and the stuff they need to be doing and blah blah blah, all that good stuff. But we need to start with the child. It needs to be child first, because I think somewhere along the line, we've been doing this now for Foot Tech is coming up to, it'll be 12 years old this year. Myself and Nick, I've been coaching since I was 16, 23 years ago, and we've seen a seismic shift, and I think social media's played a part in that, where it has become this thing that it's comparison, and it's keeping up with others, and worried that your child is being left behind because they're not in this or that, and oh yeah, but so-and-so's son's doing this and so-and-so's daughter's doing that. Just forget that. Focus on your child. What can you do as a parent to keep them in the game for as long as possible? As always, if you need anything, we do mean this, drop us a comment, drop us a message. We're always happy to help. It doesn't matter if you're a FootTech member or not. We like to build this community, and we get a lot of positive feedback from some of the things that we put out. So if we can help, we will do. If you're a grassroots coach, get yourself onto onlinefootballcourses.com. We will link it down in the description as well. We've got some resources on there for you. We've got some free stuff on there. We've got we keep everything as cheap as we can as well in terms of our ebooks and things. So you can get some ideas for your sessions, all the games-based model that we promote. So get yourself on there. If you're on YouTube and Spotify and all that good stuff, give us give us a subscribe and whatever we need to ask for. Give us those things if you can. It does help us get to more people. But thank you as always for listening, and we'll be back again soon.